I'm Dr. Gybrilla Ballard Blakes, and I'm here speaking with Miss Margie Baltimore. We're both from Dementia Friendly America in Maryland, and we're going to talk a little bit today about caregiving and being a caregiver. Mrs. Baltimore, she's been a caregiver for quite some time. I know that she's been a caregiver for her mom, she's been a caregiver for her mother-in-law, and she's now a care partner for her husband. Miss Baltimore is an amazing person. I can't wait to start this dialogue with her because she is amazing. Most folks in the community, they know Mrs. Baltimore because she's everywhere. When you talk about the 50 plus, you talk about caregiving, you talk about, when you're talking about brain health, dementia, Alzheimer's, you're actually talking about Miss Margie Baltimore. So let me talk to Miss Baltimore, let you guys just hear from her a little bit. Miss Baltimore, I know that you have cared for quite a few people as a caregiver, and now you're a care partner.
Right.
But tell us a little bit about how you started out as a caregiver, and just a little bit about how you when you started out, and what that actually, how that actually came about.
Well, I started out with my foster mother. She had a sunstroke. I was in school. They came and got me out of school. It was the last year of elementary school. I was getting ready to go to high school. So I had to come home, and she was paralyzed on the right side. So, being raised in the country, Warrenton, Virginia, Catlett, Warrenton, Manassas area, there was no senior homes or anything of that nature. Not then. I am 77, so you got to think back to when I was in school. That was quite some time ago. So I had to take care of her. And I had to start learning to pay bills. I'll go to the bank. She showed me how to write the check, pay the bills and stuff for the month, and that type of thing. But that's where it started. I had to prepare the food. I had to run the house. And I then was about 13, 14 years old. Wow. Then the next person that I took care of was her best friend. After Mom had passed, Ms. Moore, she was very sick, and she lived in Warrenton, Virginia, 65-acre farm. Her husband passed. She lived alone. My mother's best friend, and knew her all my life. So I would go back and forth down there to take care of her, take food to her. Went down there one time, she had no wood. I bought wood, stacked the wood up for her. I got oil for her because the storm was coming up. And we went down for her birthdays, Christmas, gave her gifts, that type of thing. So toward the end, I had to bring her to me, which was in Mitchellville, Maryland. And I got a hospital bed and brought her. I didn't even tell her that she called me, she was in a nursing home. Her son put her in a nursing home. And then she called and said, please get Marge to come get me. So I went down and got her out the nursing home, took her to my home. She was blind by then. And took care of her there until she passed. So that was number 2. Number 3 was Robert's grandmother. And she was getting up in age. Robert and his mother we lived off of Central Avenue in the Hill Road area. And Mom was calling me saying, oh, I don't know what I'm going to do, Grandmother. Grandmother's just wearing me out. So I started going up there helping her. I got off from work. I worked at the State Department, retired from the State Department. So I got off from work and I would go up and help her. To take food up there on the weekends, cook food, that type of thing, do the laundry, all of that. Helping Robert's mother for his grandmother. So then she passed. So Robert's mom, was up there leaving the door open and keys in the car and all those wonderful things that happen when you become seniors. And so I moved Mom to our home, the one I'm at now, and set it all up for her. And she stayed with us until she passed. Now, I had 2 people in the home. Now I'm taking care of Robert's mother and Robert. The good thing about it, I did lose a lot of weight.
Wow. Yeah, that's challenging.
Yes.
To be a caregiver, period, but when you have two people that you're caring for.
I had two people.
Now, were you working then when you were?
Yes, I was working at Department of State. I retired from Department of State after 35 years.
Wow.
And so I was there and coming home and on the weekend preparing for the people that came in during the day because I had two people there. So I had to have someone come in during the day. And Mom she was a retired school teacher, so she did have income. That's a plus. So many times seniors don't have the income. So we paid the nurse, one was 12 on, 12 off. Because as they get dementia and things like that, they don't sleep well at night. And they get to screaming and they begin to remember things that had happened. If they were in a car accident or whatever, they remember these things and they don't sleep well.
Mm-hmm. And the amazing thing about dementia is you've taken care of several people, and we know that every senior, they don't necessarily get dementia.
Right.
So I'm sure, and all the folks that you cared for,
mm-hmm.
all those folks didn't have dementia,
mm-hmm.
did they?
Right.
Okay, some of them did, some of them did not.
Some of them did.
Okay.
So doing that, waking up at night now, remember I have to go to work the next day. So they're waking up at 2 a.m. talking about the tree is falling on me or the car is going to hit me or something of that nature.
Yeah, which is amazing that you mentioned that you were still working, and that's why I asked that, because so many caregivers, I mean, that's the task of a caregiver
mm-hmm.
is already heavy
right.
and challenging.
Right.
But when you put on top of that, you're working or you have little kids or
right.
something else that you're dealing with along with that, it makes it even more taxing.
It does.
So knowing that you did that while you were working,
mm-hmm.
how did you keep your stress down, and what did you do for yourself? Because we definitely want to talk a little bit about that. We only have a short period of time to talk. We want to talk about, as a caregiver, what you did to maintain your stress level, because you look really good, and you've been doing it since you said you started when you were 14. So you had some kind of regime or some kind of method that you used.
You got to put your faith in God. That's number one.
Okay.
You cannot do all of this or any of this if you don't have faith.
Wow.
Because you need that.
Amen. And let me tell you, statistically, 63% of caregivers
mm-hmm.
either pray or they do some form of meditation.
That's right.
So that's excellent that you mentioned that. So we want people to know, caregivers, if you're caregiving, you really should have some form of faith. Right. Do something to help yourself to bring down that stress level. So you said you prayed. So what else did you do? You did some other things as well.
Not a lot, because you were busy. Because I still had to run the house, do the laundry, keep the house clean, get the groceries, make sure the food's prepared, make sure the nurses are doing the right thing.
Okay.
That was coming in, taking care of her, because you have to watch that too. Even though you might get someone to come in, it's not always the way you think. So Mrs. Moore had diabetes, and my husband has diabetes. So we were watching the way they prick the finger. You don't want to prick the same finger every day. So we had a paper, and you mark which finger you hit.
So as a caregiver, even if you have someone in helping you, which you should as a caregiver,
mm-hmm.
you shouldn't try to do it alone. Don't go alone. You need to have some way of checking behind the people who are caring for your loved one.
Right.
Some method of checking behind them. So what you did, you had them fill out. They had forms that they had to keep track. And you showed them, or you made sure that they had the right method of pricking the fingers and all that kind of stuff.
And then when they wake up at night, you don't want to argue with them, because they don't realize what they're doing. Okay. So when that tree is falling on her, or she wants her diaper off, mm-hmm. instead of arguing with her, I got up, because her room was next to my bedroom. That was Miss Moore, the one in Virginia. And I would get up and go and tell her, take the diaper off. Don't argue. I said, she'll get cool in about 10 minutes. And she took the diaper off, and I said, now come on out the room. Let her have a moment. So we stood outside of her door. And after about maybe 10, 15 minutes, she said, it's getting a little cool in here. And I knew that was going to happen. So I said, no, don't run in there yet. No, take your time. And then we went in, and she let us put the diaper back on. See, but you can't argue with them. That's not good, because then that's. So you have to kind of think it out
Okay. Well, let me ask you this. You were blessed enough to have people come in and support you and help you care for your loved one.
Mm-hmm. For that one.
Oh, for
Miss
just that
Moore.
one.
Yeah, just for Miss Moore.
Okay, so all the others you did it on your own?
And Mom, Robert's mother, those two.
Only those two you had
Those
some
two,
help.
yes.
So how did you, because you're still working,
Mm-hmm.
how did you maintain, because you have so many caregivers out there that's not lucky enough to have, or they don't know how to get the resources or where to get the resources from. So they're doing it alone.
Right.
So what would you tell a caregiver who didn't have the resources, they didn't know where they didn't have the money, and they weren't able to have someone help them on their journey as they were either caregiver or a care partner? What would you tell that caregiver?
Well, there are a lot of organizations out here today. We have brought awareness, and I was one of the early persons that brought awareness for Alzheimer's to Prince George's County.
Okay.
I started having the galas and bringing that out, and then it grew. So Prince George's County started having classes about caregiving, and other organizations start having classes, and I'm sure you all know quite a few of them. But that's what they are doing now. They have workshops, they have coffee shops, they have it on what do they call it?
Zoom. Mm-hmm.
And things like that.
Mm-hmm.
So they do have ways now of reaching out.
Where before they did not.
They did not, and they have prayer on these Zooms and prayer time, and they get them to relax. One of them even play nice soft music before they come off of the Zoom. They'll say, "Don't say anything, just listen to the music." And then there's some people that will take you to the park and say, "Well, come on, go to the park, and we're gonna relax there today. You sound like you're a little stressed."
Giving you some kind of respite.
Mm-hmm.
Respite is very big too as a caregiver.
Yes.
And a lot of caregivers and care partners, they're not aware of respite. They
Right.
don't have a clue.
That's right.
And respite is really, it's not new, but it's recently we're seeing people talk more about getting respite,
Mm-hmm.
getting able to relax and take time off of being a caregiver, to
Mhm.
give yourself the opportunity to kind of re-energize yourself so that you can continue being the best caregiver or
Right.
care partner that you can be.
That's
What do
very
you think
important.
about respite? Because I know, if I recall, you were thinking about opening up an organization for respite where
Right.
caregivers for people with people 50 plus or whatever, they could bring their loved ones to your center,
Right.
or to whatever you were thinking about opening for that kind of thing. So with that in mind, what do you think about respite? Do you think respite is very important when you're
Oh,
a caregiver?
definitely. Oh
and-
my
and-
goodness, definitely.
And why do you say that? Because a lot of caregivers need to know that.
You're overwhelmed. So many times you're overwhelmed in the course of a day because they misplace things, they lose things, they need your attention. They forget that they ate, they want some more food. It's so many things that you go through in the course of a day that you're like, well, honey, you just ate half an hour ago. So we'll get some more stuff. I'll fix you something. Give me a little bit of time. And then time will go by and they don't realize it. Now it is time to eat again. But if I listened to him, I would have given it to him right away.
Mhm.
So
let me ask you this. How important do you think taking care of yourself as a caregiver is?
oh,
What
that's
do you think
very
about that?
important because you get worn out. You beat yourself up. You feel like you don't get enough done. My day usually starts at 6 and it ends about 10:30, 11 o'clock. I have literally been cleaning or doing laundry right up until that time. Okay, because you got doctor's appointments for them. They get confused about what they're doing that day or their clothes, or you got to stop to go get their clothes to help them get dressed. What is it, cold out? No, sweetie, it's 100 degrees today. So you've got to go and get clothing for 100 degrees and not 20 degrees. But you have to do that, and you do it with a smile, and you just go ahead and say, no, 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 come on, try this today. And if you get colder, we'll put a jacket on. How about that?
And I'm happy you said that. When you're a caregiver, you really should be caregiving with a smile.
Right.
And that's kind of important.
Yes.
And I want you to talk a little bit more about how your demeanor should be with the person that you're caring for, because we know as caregivers, the people that oftentimes we're caring for feel a little bit like they're a burden.
Yes.
So talk a little bit about how a caregiver or a care partner demeanor should be when they're dealing with someone that they're caring for.
Well, one of the things is you try to keep yourself calm to keep them calm. And you do the things that make them happy during the day. Like recently, I just gave my husband a book on Prince George's County. They were selling them at the drugstore. I went in to get his medicines. You have to do all of that as a caregiver. Get medicines and everything, creams, lotions, aspirin, everything. So I happened to walk by and it said, book on Prince George's County. I said, he might like that. His mother was a school teacher. So he likes to read and he likes looking at documentaries. So I got the book and he was just as calm that day, reading that book. Oh, this is my teacher when I was in school. They've got my school in there. So it kept him calm. So if you keep calm, a lot of times that passes on to them, or bring them something that they want. Oh, I think I'm hungry. Well, how about some grapes? How about some oranges? Things like that. It keeps them kind of mellow.
So what you're saying is, even though as a caregiver or care partner, you may not feel calm, or you might be going through something.
Right.
If you're caring for someone, when you're dealing with them, you should try to maintain that even keel type.
Right.
And not, let them see you lose control or you get angry at them and yell at them and all that kind of stuff.
Oh, no.
Just keep it calm, even when you feel like they're going in another room or whatever. Is that pretty much what you're saying?
Yeah, exactly. Okay. And with Mom, I had a baby monitor.
Okay.
So I try to explain to people to have tools, soft music, baby monitors, to listen, to hear because you can tell when they're getting a little agitated or whatever. And if they have something on TV that's a little rough, shooting and violence, I'll say, sweet, you're missing your show. I said, such and such thing is on. So you go and you think you want to watch that for a little bit, just for a little bit, and you change it.
Excellent.
But you do it in a nice way.
Excellent.
You don't just go in there and say, give me that remote, da-da-da. You don't do that.
Treat them with respect.
Right.
Respect
them. He said, no, let's try this for a little bit. Just for a little bit. I think it's a good show. And they'll get into that.
It's amazing.
And the baby monitor helps you to keep tabs on, even if you have someone to come in. Nowadays, you can have it on your phone. You can look on your phone and see what they're doing with your loved ones, your mom, your dad. You can watch them at work.
Excellent.
And you have to. Because one day, Mom had ate and she didn't finish it all. Mm-hmm. So the nurse came in and she says, oh, she can eat that later. And I said, no, we won't do that. And she says, why? She didn't finish it. I said, because I fixed her something special for dinner. So you don't just say, oh, you didn't eat that, so eat this. Now, don't do that. That's
treat them with respect.
Exactly.
That's the biggest thing.
Exactly.
Treat them with respect. Mm-hmm. That's huge.
And that's huge.
And I noticed that you talked about the book with your husband, that he loves reading.
Right.
So it sounds like you're saying find what your loved one liked doing.
Yes.
Regardless of what that is, if that's music, if that's reading, ensure that you're doing that. Make sure that you give them an opportunity to do what you think, that they like doing. You want to at least try that. Try to, and that's what I'm kind of hearing.
And the TV and the reading, you find things that's calming and that they can kind of remember. Okay. And that's very helpful.
Okay.
That's very
Ms.
helpful.
Baltimore, this is beautiful. But what I do want to ask you before we kind of wrap this up, if you were to kind of talk about something that you would say to either a new caregiver or caregiver that's struggling with all the challenges of being a caregiver, what's some of the things that you would tell them to do to kind of keep that energy, kind of make sure that that person that they're caring for get the best from them, and they maintain their sanity also?
You have to find a moment for yourself every day, a couple of times a day. You need that. Even if you want to plant flowers or you want to go on your deck for a moment, go. It's nothing wrong with that. They're not going anywhere. They're watching that program you just found for them on TV. Take a minute. Relax for a second. Breathe. Have a minute of prayer. Walk through the park. That's what I wanted to do with the center. I wanted them to come in. I wanted to have chairs for them to relax, listen to music. Just get away from it for a second, whether it's in another room or it's outside, but get away for a second. One of the best days, and this person will know that whenever they hear our conversation, that I've ever had as a caregiver, this person called me one morning and I sounded a little stressed. So she said, let's go get a cup of coffee and go to the park. Went to the park, we were counting the ducks. Best day I've ever had. I'll never forget as long as I live. It just brought me peace. It
Yes.
made you relax.
Wow.
It was so relaxing and enjoyable just to be out in the air, watching the ducks take off and swimming around in the water and whatever. And nothing heavy. It wasn't a heavy conversation. It was just a relaxing moment. That's what you need as a caregiver. You need relaxing moments. And sometimes driving the car, you might have your favorite music on. Sometimes you don't even have to drive. Sometimes you might just sit in your car and put on your favorite for a moment. They don't take long, 20, 30 minutes, and you relax for a second. I remember that, and that type of thing. And don't beat yourself up all the time. That's one thing I would tell everyone. Don't beat yourself. If you didn't wash the clothes today, you'll get them tomorrow. Don't worry about it. They're not going anywhere. Don't beat yourself up. You didn't get something at the grocery store today? Get it tomorrow. Go tomorrow. You'll make out today. You'll be fine. So don't constantly, I didn't get this done. I didn't get that done. Oh my goodness, don't work yourself up. You have enough working with this. And I tell that to my neighbors because I kind of watch over them too. I got about 4 over there that I kind of keep an eye on. And they, Marge, I meant to go to the store and I didn't tell my daughter to pick up my mess. Calm down. I'm going up to the drugstore. I'll pick it up for you. And I'll give that to you when I come back. Or I might make something special for them. And that calms them down. And that's my neighbors. And they definitely don't want me to leave. I'm trying to downsize, by the way, and get a smaller place. Mm-hmm. But because Robert's going to need more care as time goes on.
Mm-hmm.
And
so all of that's important.
Yes.
Being a care yes. partner and a caregiver.
Right.
But this has been really, really, truly amazing. You are an amazing person. Anyone listening to this, they're going to get a lot from you. I want to thank you for taking the time today. I'm Dr. Gybrilla Blakes. This is Margie Baltimore. She is amazing. We're from Dementia Friendly America, the best. And we want to thank you for watching us today. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.